Hi, everybody. Hopefully this one will actually work. This is about my fifth try at this. I keep trying to over-explain surface area, so hopefully I'll actually keep it under control and keep the explanation to a minimum and still get to the meat of the subject. Anyway, we're looking at surface area in the geometry section of Algebra 1, and we're looking at how much material does it take to cover this triangular prism. Now, part of the problem is that this triangular prism has been laid on its side. And so I'm going to go ahead and redraw it so that it's standing up. Hopefully I won't make a stupid error again like I did before. So I've got a triangular prism. Oh, it's actually an isosceles. See if I can get this straight. This is the mistakes I keep making. It's actually an isosceles right triangle. And it's a triangular prism that looks something like this. And I'm just going to go through just a few ideas before we get started, because they'll help you understand the overall picture. This thing is a triangular prism because it has a triangle for its base. There's its base. The base is also considered the bottom as the base. It's a right triangular prism because the base is at right angles to the height of the prism. There are two different kinds of heights that are established in this thing. One of them is the height that's located right here. This is the height of the base triangle, which is different than the height of the prism itself. So it can get very confusing when you look at formulas and they call this little h, which they will on occasion. Now, in order to look at the surface area instead of the volume, we're looking at cutting this thing into pieces and laying it all out so that we can look at the lateral surface area, and we can also look at the total surface area. Now, to get the lateral surface area, basically, I want to look at these three sides that you can see. I should say faces. This face, and the back face. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this thing, and then I'm just going to lay it out. So I've got a layout that looks something like this. There's a rectangle that if I take these three sides and lay them out, it looks something like this. I've got two 10s. This is this side, 10 and 10. And then there's a side of 12 in the middle. And what I want you to notice is that this lateral surface is what happens when you cut this thing and open it up. If I open this side up and open this face up, I get this nice rectangle. This height of this thing, which is right there, this is the height, which is also that side, that edge, I should say, is 10 feet high. So the lateral surface area for this thing is the sum of these sides, which is also called the perimeter. That's why the lateral surface area, that L stands for lateral surface area, is equal to the perimeter of the base times the height. And this is the height of the three-dimensional prism. So that's why I use capital H for that. Now, in order to get the total surface area, which is what they're asking for, I need to add the top and the bottom. And the top and the bottom happen to be these triangles that you can see here and here. Those are the triangle bases. And so the total surface area is the perimeter of the base times the height, which is this lateral surface area that you see right here. And then I have to add the top and the bottom. So that's 2 times the area of the base. And that gives us our total surface area. In this particular case, we have a top and a bottom that need to be added on. In order to add on those areas, you have to know the area of this triangle is the 1/2 base times height. So our total surface area formula is going to be the perimeter of the base times the three-dimensional height plus 2 times the area of this particular base, which you can see here, or this piece up here. And that happens to be 1/2 base times the height of the triangle, not the prism. The height of this triangle was given as 8 millimeters. So now we have our formula and we can add it all up and find our substituted in. Now the perimeter of the base is 10 plus 12 plus 10, which is 32. That's 32 millimeters. The height of the prism is 10 feet. So that gives us our lateral surface area of 320 square millimeters. Now, each of these bases is 8 millimeters tall. That's the height of the triangle. And the base of the triangle is 12. And when you multiply the 1/2 times the 2, they cancel out. And base times height is going to be the 8 times 12, which is 96. And when you add it up, you have 320 plus 96. So the total surface area is the 320 and 96 makes 416 square millimeters. And we can put that in. So I didn't make a dumb error again. I've been doing that all day today. 416. Sorry, I haven't been looking up much. Now, this particular thing is a right circular prism, otherwise known as a cylinder. I'm going to cut it and unroll it. So when you unroll this thing, you get a rectangle, which is what happens when you cut it. And just imagine unrolling that strip. And it happens to be 1 millimeter tall. And it's 1 millimeter radius, but that means that the diameter is equal to 2 millimeters. It's 2 millimeters across. They only gave me the radius. So my circumference is equal to 2 times pi. That's the 2 is the diameter and the pi. And I want an approximation for this, which is, I'm going to use pi as 3.14. So when I double it, I'm going to get 6.28. That's going to be the length of this. And I'm actually going to multiply it by the 1 millimeter, but that's not going to change anything. So 6.28 square millimeters is the area. This is the lateral surface area. But I also have a top and a bottom, and each one of these is a circle. And when I add those in, remember that it's pi r squared is the area of a circle. In this particular case, I've got pi, and the radius is 1. So we're just talking about pi, or about 3.4, and there are 2 of them. So we're going to add them up. The 6.28 square millimeters was my lateral surface area, and I've got 2 circles of 3.14, and that's going to be 12.56 square millimeters. Now this one is a cube, and it happens to be 5 inches on every edge. I'm not going to say edge instead of side. Now the volume of this thing is the area of the base times the height, and it's 125 cubic inches. But what they want to know is, what is the surface area? And the surface area of all cubes has 6 faces, and each one happens to be s squared. In this case, 6 times 5 squared. Notice that you do have to square before you multiply. That's 25 times 6, or 150 square inches. Okay, we have a cone, and I want, and the last couple of times I did the derivation for the formula, and I'm not going to do the derivation this time. I'm just going to tell you the formula for the surface area of a cone. Now that I find it interesting to find the derivations, to do all of the work and everything each time. But for most students, they're just going to look it up, and it happens to be pi r squared. That's the area of the base plus pi r L, where L is this slant height of this cone. And I'd love to get into all of the nuances of why it works and cut it into pieces and show you the piece of the circle and everything. But instead, I'm just going to go ahead and substitute in and get it done. So we're looking at approximately 3.14. The radius happens to be 4 yards. They gave me the diameter here. You see the diameter is all the way across. So the radius is 4 yards. So I've got 4 squared plus pi times r, which is 4, times the L, which is 12. So we're looking at approximately and this is the 3.14. Again, I'm only estimating. That's why I put this approximate on there. So I've got 16, and 4 times 12 is 48. So we're looking at the exact surface area is 64 pi, but if we multiply 64 times 3.4, we get 200.96. 200.96, and this is in square yards. Looks like we have another triangular prism. I'm going to go ahead and write the total surface area is equal to the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism plus 2 times the area of the base. And the area of the base is 1/2 base times height. Again, I've got 2 different kinds of heights here. I've got this height of the prism itself, which it looks like is 18 inches. The perimeter of the base is 15 plus 15 plus 18, which is 48. The height of the prism is 18. The 1/2. The base of the triangle on the base is 18. Again, there's 2 different kinds of bases as well. The height is 12. And 48 times 18 is 864. I prefer to do this sort of thing in my head, but I've been making errors for some reason today. Now it just happens 12 times 18 is too easy. I'm just going to write it down. It's 216. And when we add those together, we end up with 1,080. And I am actually going to add this to make sure I didn't make a stupid error. I didn't. That's 1,080 square inches. Another surface area of the cylinder, and we're looking at our total surface area. And this time I'm going to simplify it a little bit. We want the lateral surface area, which is the circumference. That's the 14 pi, times the height, which is 12. This is the lateral surface area, plus 2 circles. And I've got the top and the bottom are circles, and that is 49 pi. It's pi r squared. And so we have 12 times 14. No, I'm not going to use my calculator. 12 times 14 is 140, and 28 makes 168 pi. Plus 2 times 49, which is 98 pi. And I'm not going to use my calculator. That is 266 pi. Now this is an exact answer. We want to approximate that by putting in the 3.14 like they told us. Let me do that. It's 3.4. 835.24. So and that's in square centimeters. Oh, another one. Okay, now this one is asking for a different thing. We're going to go through the 5 problem-solving steps one more time. I'm going to go through them very quickly. I have a label diagram. I'm going to write my formula. The total surface area is equal to the perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times the area of the base. Now, this is the generic formula. A more specific formula is the perimeter of the base is actually the circumference, which is pi times the diameter. That's 6 pi. Okay, so 6 pi. I'm taking the diameter times pi times the height. Now this time they gave me a little h for the height of the cylinder, plus 2 times the area of the base, and it happens to be the area of the base is 9 pi. That's pi r squared. So we have 6 pi h plus 18 pi is equal to the total surface area, which is 94.2. Now, I want you to notice I followed all the steps. I have a diagram, it's labeled. I have a formula. I substituted into that formula. I simplified, and now I'm going to solve. Now, in order to solve this, I only want an approximation because, again, this is only approximate when I substitute for pi. So we're looking at approximately 6 times 3.14, 18.84. 18 times pi. And I don't have enough room to do the solving on this, but I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 56.52 from both sides. And then I'm going to end up dividing by the 18.84. So subtract from 94.2, and then 56.52. Divide by 18.84. We get approximately 2. And I'm going to double check it. Looks good so far. Yeah. This time we have a surface area of a rectangular prism. The nice thing about this is that you can call the base any of the faces. So we don't have to use this one as its base, but it doesn't make any difference. In this particular case, I'm just going to go ahead and use it the way it's listed. So this is going to be my base, and this is going to be my height. I want the total surface area is equal to the perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times the area of the base. And in this particular case, the perimeter of the base is, oh, you know what? It's going to be easier if I do it a different way. And I'm going to go ahead and keep going with this one. The perimeter of this base happens to be 2y plus 28. And the height is 18. This is the height plus 2 times the area of the base, which happens to be 14y. And the total surface area is 760. And what we're interested in finding is the value of y. Now, this is more difficult than it needs to be, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and distribute this and simplify it. Notice I did formula, substitute. I'm going to simplify. That's going to be 36y. 28 times 18. Can't believe I'm using a calculator for this, but there you have it. 504 plus 28y. And we're still simplifying. I've got to put the 36y with the 28y, and that's going to be 64y. No, y squared plus 504 is equal to 760. And then I can solve this for y. I could have made it easier by laying this thing on its side so that this face right here, this big face, is the base. And it would have made your life much, much easier. There would have been a lot less simplifying and so on. But it's fine. I'm just going to leave it as it is. 504 from 760. And we're going to divide by 64. And we get 4. So y is equal to 4 inches. This time we have a surface area of a cylinder. Again, we write the formula. We have our diagram. Our formula is the total surface area of a cylinder is equal to perimeter of the base times the height. You'll notice that hopefully you notice a common theme here, plus 2 times the area of the base. There's my standard form. The perimeter of the base is the perimeter of this circle or the circumference, which is 22 pi. The height happens to be little h. That's the height of the prism according to them. Plus 2 area of the base. Since my radius is 11 inches, that's 121 pi. And the total surface area is 1865.6. And we've got to do an estimate. So 22 times 3.4 is 69.08. And 242 times pi, approximately 759.88, 1865.16. Again, it's a very complicated problem, but it becomes very simple if you follow the steps. We have a diagram. I wrote a formula. I substituted, and I simplified. Hopefully you can write even neater than I do. That's why there's little lines on your paper and so on. Let's subtract. We're going to do the solving step, 1865.6, and we're going to divide by 69.8. One of the nice things about these particular problems is that when you get your answer, it ends up being really close to an exact answer, or at least it looks like it is. So this is 16 inches from my height. And hopefully only 2 of these. All right, now this time I'm going to go ahead and show you why it's easier to lay this down. So I'm basically going to lay this prism on its side. And you'll see why it's easier than the last time. So this is 15. The long side is 15. I guess I can call this one 15 yards. And this is the 9.6 yards. And the height in this case is going to be the B. Now the reason this is easier is because when I write my total surface area, it's equal to the perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times the area of the base. So the perimeter of my base is 15 plus 9.6 times 2. So 49.2 is the perimeter of my base. 49.2 is the perimeter around the bottom. The height is that little b. And the area of the base is 15 times 9.6. 144. And now, as you can see, there's less simplifying going on this time. 435.6. So we're going to subtract 435.6. And we're going to divide by 49.2. And, I don't like the looks of that. So 9.6, 9.6 and 15, yeah. Area of the base, okay, 9.6 6 times 15. 2 area of the base. There it is. 288. The reason I knew I made an error was because I got a decimal answer. If you're doing one of these problems where you're looking for a missing edge and you don't get a nice, easy answer, there's a possibility you made an error. I made my error by just multiplying these and finding the area of the base and did not substitute. That's one of the reasons you got to be careful. 288 is 35, 6, divided by 49.2 is 3. And the base is, or the B is equal to 3 yards. And this time we really need the total surface area of a cone, again, is pi r squared plus pi rl, where L is the slant height. So that makes it pretty easy for a cone. They told us the 402.234. Pi is approximately 3.14. The radius is 7. And they're looking for the slant height. So let's simplify this and solve. Diagram, labeled, formula, substitute inside parentheses, simplify. (49 times 3.4), 153.86, 7 times 21.98. Earlier, when I was doing the problems on this, I wouldn't use a calculator, and it was just way too long. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 153.86 from both sides. So I've got 402.234. I'm doing the solving step. I'm subtracting 53.86 from both sides. And then I'm going to divide by the 21.98. I'm just going to go ahead and just say what my steps are. And again, if you get something, it looks like I get 11.30. I'm just going to double check and make sure I didn't make an error. Pi RL is correct, 2.234. I'm just going to double check my work because I'm getting a weird answer. So I've got 49 times 3.14. Yes, minus 402.234. And divide by 21.98. 11.3 again. Okay. It says to round to the nearest hundredth, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to put the 0 in or not. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. There we go. And hopefully this is the last one. What is the value of U? The surface area of a cube. Total surface area of a cube is 6s squared. In this case, the sides are all U. And the total surface area is 20.64. We're going to divide that by 6 and take the square root. Double check my numbers, yep. Divide by 6, take the square root. There's my square root key. Dang it. It doesn't take the square root, it forces you to do it the other way around. So 2120.64. What? 18.8. And maybe one more. Yeah, looks like we have another one. So total surface area of a cone. Do you remember? Remember, it's the base, pi r squared. So the r, pi r squared. That's this base down here, plus pi rl. Kind of an easy one, actually. Really tough to derive, though. What is the surface area of the cone? It gave us everything we need. We've got the 30.2 meters, so it's pi times 30.2 squared plus the pi times the radius, which is 30.2 times the 79, and we get an estimate. So let's get it all in there. 30.2 times 30.2 times 3.14, 2863.8. We've got quite a bit more stuff here, 0.56. Wow. Plus 30.2 times 79. Okay, so approximately, I went ahead and did that part. 10,355.22. Now, if we're off by 100th, we mess it up, so we need to make sure we're right. That is 10,355.22. Rounded to the nearest hundredth. Looks good to me. Hopefully that was the last one. One more. Well, I kind of like this one because we've got this triangular pyramid. So basically, if you cut it along all its edges, you've got the base. This is that base down here that you see. And then you've got the three faces of the pyramid. So if you imagine, I cut these along its three edges and then dropped down the faces. Now, this happens to be the slant height, which is the 60.9 centimeters. And they're the same in each case. It looks like the height of our base triangle is 42.4. And we've got each one of the sides is 49, 49, and 49. So you've got two different kinds of areas. You've got the areas of the sides or the side faces, and that happens to be, there's three of those. So let me just write a quick formula here. The total surface area. You've got three of these, which are 49 by 60.9 times a half, or divided by 2. Okay, so those are these three, and then you have the base, which is the very bottom part. And that's 1/2 the base, which is 49, the height, which is 42.4. So there's my total surface area. Let's see what I got. 60.9 times 49 divided by 2, and I've got three of those. So this is my lateral surface area, if you like, 4476.15. And my base is 0.5 times 49 times 42.4. Yep. Plus, it's like I get 5514.95. 5,514.95. Hopefully I didn't make any errors. I don't think so. And we are finally done. Man, this one took a while. Well, good luck. Hope you do better than I did in the first couple. Anyway, you all have a nice day, and I will see you back here again.